Live streaming is on.
So a little bit of an echo there. Let me make sure that the actual thing went live. All right, yeah. So QP, you had the first topic up today.
Oh, I thought, okay, I can do that.
Yep.
So, do you want me to go ahead?
Yeah, please.
So I wanted to propose one change, which is to bring us to be more aligned with the other upstream projects that we work with, like Arrow and Data Fusion. So basically, in PRs, there are two types of PRs that I've seen in different open source projects. One type of PR is the author of the PR cleans all the commits clean. They group commits into logical commits. They group changes into logical commits, and always use amend or rebase on their end to make the history clean. And then the other type of PR is for every new change, they create a new commit and to maintain the full history of the diff. So usually what happens is if we don't use squash merge and just use rebase merge for the latter type of PRs, we will actually merge all the small, tiny incremental change into the main branch. So I'm proposing that we use our own judgment to use squash merge whenever applicable to make sure that we have a clean main branch history, so that it will be easier for us to do git bisects in the future, or check out all the related change in a single commit using git main to make it easier to debug any issues going forward. And that was my main propose. Try to use squash commits whenever possible, whenever applicable, when we merge PRs. So I'm curious if anyone else has any thought on this, whether this will cause any inefficiencies to their development style or cycles.
I think that makes sense. Just to make sure I understand, basically when you hit the merge button, hit the drop down and pick squash and merge, and then hit it. When
squash merge makes sense. So there are PRs that the author will actually maintain that each commit it's already logically grouped. Then we can use. I think it's totally fine to use rebase merge in that case.
Okay.
So sorry. Would you change the default
Go ahead,
option?
Sorry.
No worries. Would you change the default option in the settings so that then the default is to squash, but if the author says or prefers to merge, to rebase merge, then we do that?
I don't think there's a way to change the default, right? It's always the last option you used.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's the thing that's actually quite frustrating is there's no repository-based default. It's just whatever you pushed last is what it chooses, which can, you have to read the green
that's annoying
button before.
I mean, if
so right now we have
accidentally
we don't have merge. Yeah, please go.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say if someone accidentally hit the rebase button, it's not the end of the world. So I guess that's fine if that happened.
I don't have any opposition. I don't see any problem with this. The point that you had made to me when we were discussing this last week, maybe, QP, was you're referring to a benefit of git bisecting or walking through commits, and that is really squash merging is the only way that guarantee that even if someone has logical commits, that they're actually going to pass CI or be buildable in that sequence.
Yeah. So I think to add to that, I think I wasn't expecting us to make sure that every single commit in the main bench is buildable. That's probably not going to happen. It's more for like logically grouping the changes into a single commit so that it's easy to go back and see what happened. Yeah, I wasn't proposed that we should make sure that every single commit is buildable. That's going to be too hard to enforce. And I'm totally with you on that.
Yeah, and to avoid sequential fix clippy. Sometimes you end up serving it clippy when you try to fix stuff and it doesn't get fixed.
Yep.
Hey, QP, is there a reason why we shouldn't just make squash merging the default? And like nothing else is possible.
We can do that as well. Because I personally I don't have I actually prefer that, but I know that some developers might prefer rebase merge. So I'm fine with I'm cool with going for only squash merge if that's what you all think we should do.
I actually hate it.
Yeah, then
so I'm not advocating for it. But I think I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of pull requests coming in where there's been individual atomic commits that are well formed and separate.
Yeah, yep, that's what I've seen so far. So, but I guess at the end of the day, it's just make sure that we everyone use their own best judgment to pick which one, whatever rebase or squash, to maintain a clean history.
Tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a label. Just a squash label, and that way we can at least, as we're reviewing a pull request, we could at least throw the label squash on there, just as like hey, let's squash this when it comes in.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
All right, unless Christian or Neville, do you have any other comments on that topic?
No, I'm good with the suggestion.
All right, Neville, why don't you tell us about how maps are coming along?
Maps are reduced. I've completed the arrow side, at least the minimal that I need. I've created a build. I've created the map array. I've created the JSON reader, but not JSON writer for now. IPC is fine, so integration tests should be fine when I run them. And then I'm now working on, I've also done with data equality, so you can compare two maps with each other and get are they valid or not? Are they the same or not? I'm working on the parquet side, and the parquet side is taking me a bit longer. So I wanted to submit one single pull request, but I think I'll put up the draft on my GitHub branch and then just leave the draft open so that you can see it. I'm going to address both the error in the parquet side. I thought the parquet would be quick, but it looks like I've been diving in trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong with the read, more especially trying to use the already created map file that's used for integration testing in parquet in the parquet implementations. So I think I'm still maybe 2-3 more evenings away from completing that, but I'm going to put up a draft PR today just so you can see it. So I'll work on it now and put it on the chat.
Cool. Christian, I know you were waiting for this. Do you have any questions?
Nope. Yeah, I'll be excited to get it. And I'll pick up some tasks to follow it.
That's the last missing piece for the checkpoint, right?
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, interestingly, I also I'm working on. I've pointed Delta to my local error in parquet branch so that I can test as I go along. I'm just using that as a guide. So I think, well, I might just beat you to putting a pull request on completing the checkpoint, at least data type, the map data type.
Nice. Yeah. Go ahead. Do my work for me. Thank you.
Okay, cool. That's it from me.
All right. Christian, was there anything around checkpoints you wanted to discuss as well?
Well, I was going to mention that we do have this new Delta checkpoint Lambda application in Delta RS, which I'll link here. First, it's not fully complete yet because we need to get the checkpoint writer working for the map type. But this is something we'll be using internally at Scribd. I'm going to add a release build GitHub workflow to build a Lambda zip that potentially anyone could pull and host this in their own AWS.
Cool.
So
Anything
yeah,
you need?
What's that?
I mean, anything you need other than the stuff that Neville's already working on?
Anything? Oh, to finish this?
Yeah.
Well, there is one other issue that I need to do around multi-part checkpoints. I haven't started that effort yet, but I think like the ability to create checkpoints will be in place once we have the map support, and then multi-part checkpoints will come in separately as an additional feature.
You were about to say something?
Oh, I was going to add that the release will be part of a artifact in the Delta RS repo for other people to download and use in their own deployment.
Basically a zip.
Yep. Under
our GitHub releases.
And I guess that the way that works is we will set up the event notification for S3 as the trigger for the Lambda, right? And we would check for every 10 commits.
Yeah, that bit I feel like is on the user who chooses to download this. They could configure their event notification in a few different ways. The example that I have in place that uses local stack does an S3 event notification. I've read that there's some other ways to do that as well, which seemed more complicated than I wanted, so I didn't bother testing them. But yeah, in fact, I think even in here, there's a bin script under this app that does the setup I'm planning to do. What's it called? Setup local stack.sh. I can link this as well, but I'll link this as well. This would be, you might call it I don't want to call it a recommended setup, but this is probably what I'm going to be doing, where I set up an event notification on the S3 bucket that has a prefix and suffix so that only every 10th commit even hits the Lambda.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good setup.
Christian, when you when you feel like you're done with the Lambda workflow stuff, will you either make a ticket or make an issue here to basically add the documentation? I think it would be also useful for us, and I might have some Terraform code to do this, to also include in like a docs folder, how to set this thing up on AWS. But if you just file an issue, I think I can probably help with some of that doc writing.
Okay, cool.
When you feel like this is ready to actually, be a thing.
Right.
I'm not going to spend time on docs before then.
Gotcha.
Was that it, Christian?
Yep, that's it.
Cool. Any other topics, ladies and germs?
Not from my end. It looks pretty good.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining. I put some links in the YouTube channel or in the YouTube chat. And have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.